Well, we are taking a trip down memory lane with Amy. It's not going to look good for her. So, Amy got out of Scientology years and years ago. And to be fair, some of them were, I think, sincere. And this is one of the first public revelations we're coming out of. Psychopathic Miscavige was. And I vaguely remember this because I was still very young. And Amy was part of this group in the 2000s. But here's a problem. When she was denouncing Miscavige, it sounded eerily familiar. And I know some people are tired of the Tom Cruise content. Again, I think doing content on Tom Cruise is legit. And again, Tom Cruise is only a guest star here, but he's critical because it does show a huge amount of hypocrisy on her part.
I don't appreciate the fact that he's supporting David Miscavige, because either he's supporting him and dumb to the fact that he is a total tyrant, or he's in agreement with it, and either way.
Because Tom knows David Miscavige very well, there is no way he could not be unaware how Miscavige routinely beats up, slaps, and just does all this humiliating, demeaning behavior and forces it upon his staff. And some of the stories, in fact, this one I did not know, so I will give it here. Apparently Miscavige took his beagle. Beagles are usually small, so I can only imagine how they did this. And he had for his beagle a suit tailored, a mock Sea Org uniform for his beagle with epaulets and the whole thing. And Sea Org members were expected to salute the beagle whenever the beagle was around. And one time the beagle barked at Amy, and David's like, you have out ethics. My beagle barked at you. So aside from being incredibly violent, he is probably clinically insane. But now let's get to even more hilarity, where Amy, I think, will try to find a standard for herself. And if you're saying Tom Cruise should be judged for knowing Miscavige, well, what about you and Rinder? Oh, she has an answer for that.
Grabbed him around the neck and was throttling, squeezing hard to the point where David's face was shaking and arms were shaking that he was squeezing so hard.
David often took on poor Mike Rinder and hit him, grabbed him by the throat, and poor Mike Rinder was just suffering. He just had to take it. He was just physically assaulted many, many times. Aren't we being very cruel to demand that Rinder still... But here's the thing, which Amy does not bring up. There are quite a few cases where Rinder has never, ever tried to compensate for his behavior, whether Jerry Armstrong, whether with Kyle Brennan, or whether, frankly, with Flo Barnett. And I have to be careful, this is YouTube, where allegedly he might have played a role in murdering an old woman. For those who don't know, Flo Barnett is Shelley Miscavige's birth mother. The original name of Shelley is Barnett. And in very suspicious circumstances, he and probably Rathbun were involved in a conspiracy because Flo magically managed to kill herself, allegedly, shooting herself 4 times with a shotgun. Ever since then, there have been many uneasy questions about how did that happen? Was it really her taking her life, or did something more sinister happen? We don't know. Rinder has never really clarified because he's almost never asked. So maybe Amy has turned over a new leaf. Maybe she has found God. Maybe she really does believe the Bible. However, she is a hypocrite. If she's saying Tom Cruise can be judged for knowing certain things, there's no way she can say, oh, I'm totally innocent. I didn't know Rinder did all that. She has reason enough to suspect Rinder is not telling the whole truth, and he has not really completely changed. Just because he's changed around her, they're making money together, he never physically attacked her, doesn't mean he's really changed. Just means he's made new tactical alliances. If Amy's too blind to see that, well, unfortunately, it may be because, they're not just friends. They have a financial, mutually beneficial arrangement together, blocking her from seeing her own hypocrisy. But the rest of us can kind of see it plain as day.